Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you feeling? How you doing? It's your boy Ruben. Today I just wanna briefly congratulate President Obama. It feels so damn good to be able to refer to him as President Barack Obama, not President elect, not senator, not candidate. You know, it's just it's really an amazing feeling, and I just want people to kind of understand and share in the joy that I, as well as millions of Americans, are experiencing right now. I mean, my heart was filled in such joy. Like as I'm sitting, I'm watching the inauguration, I'm watching the ceremony, I'm watching the ball. I'm watching Beyonce get emotional as she phenomenally, okay, and beautifully sings. I mean, she sung the hell out of that song. I can see why she's nominated for them awards because she she sung the hell out of that song, and I thought she did a phenomenal job in the movie. Playing Etta James, which is a strong, very strong character, which is totally out of her element. As a person. I mean, the talk, the language, and everything. You know, and then the interview after her performance and seeing the sincerity and hearing it and seeing it in not only in her voice and not only in her facial expressions but her emotions they showed. And see, a lot of people who have this kind of thing where they feel like Beyonce is fake, but there was nothing fake about the way she expressed how happy she was to be able to be living in a time where we have seen someone who is African American be placed in a position of power as high as to be president, as high as the presidency. I mean, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely mind blowing to me. Like I said, to be placed in a position of power where you are commander in chief, you are in control, you are in ultimate and total control of what happens next. And you know I mean, what you say goes. And it's like I'm looking back in the '60s in my mother's time, my father's time, my grandparents' time, my great grandparents' time, and I'm thinking about all the struggles. We were living in a time where, well, they were living in a time where blacks couldn't even coexist with whites. My grandmother couldn't even acknowledge her father if she were to see him on the street. My grandmother is 94 years old, so she lived in all of that. Okay, she lived through all of that. Okay, she she lived through the entire 1900s, and to experience, by the time the civil rights movement and everything had happened, she was a grown ass woman. So it's like to be able to live through all that and to experience witnessing someone just like her. My grandmother is half black and half white as well. Her father was white and her mother was black. And it was so bad, and during those times I don't think people, they kind of underplay how horrific it was for people of color during the times of her time, my mother's time, and way back when, before the civil rights movement had started. you know People kind of underplay it, and to be in a time where if you were biracial, you were considered just as dirty and as unclean as those who were just considered black. To this day, not, I mean, not so much anymore, but even still in some states and some cities, people who are biracial, even Alicia Keys talks about it sometimes, about how growing up as a biracial, child, whose mother was white, father was black, or even in some cases, mothers are black and fathers are white. It's hard. You get tormented. You get, picked on. Kids are cruel. And I know from experience, what I'm saying? Not because my being biracial or whatever. It's just the fact, me with my weight. Kids can be so cruel. I had to fight my way through middle school. I had to fight my way halfway through elementary school. From third grade on up until my freshman year of high school, I fought. Because of the shit that I went through with people and their mouth. And I just had to learn how to overcome it and remember that I'm above them in anything because of the fact that I don't have to stoop to their level to feel good about myself. And so just imagine what he had to go through where, you know, he had a father who was a full blood born Kenyan, you know, a mother who was white, brothers and sisters who were also biracial, who, you know, a stepfather who was Hawaiian, you know, he was born in Hawaii. He had all these different, you know, things. He had his family is so diverse. And to be raised, you know, during a time where, you know, things weren't quite right. They were kind of in the process of getting right. And it's just, you know, I don't understand. Things have changed tremendously. As I said before, my grandmother lived in a time where she would have been murdered if she had acknowledged her father, if she were to see him on the street. Just imagine how, if you're biracial, if you're, you know, not biracial, just imagine, you know, seeing your parents walk down the street. You're sitting on your porch playing outside at the age of 6, and to see your father or your mother walk down the street every day, and knowing in the back of your mind, and you have this fear inside of you, even though it's eating you up, the fact that you can't even speak to your own parent. You knew that if you were to do so, that you would be murdered. You would have destroyed not only your life, but the life of the parent whom you're living with, your father or mother, whomever you're witnessing every day that you can't speak to. They would have been murdered. My grandmother has told me so many stories about how she would be outside playing on the porch, playing with her dolls, taking care of her mother, you know, not being able to get above, I believe, a seventh grade education, sixth or seventh grade education, and having to stay home, take care of her mother, and, you know, having to see her father every day. And her father knew that that was his daughter, but he refused to acknowledge her. He refused to speak to her. And she knew that if she were to speak to him, that they would have lynched her. Imagine growing up like that. And to come from that to now seeing this man who gives us so much hope and so much, you know, so much energy, so much, you know, like so many feelings that we can be greater and do greater things. You know, we have to remember that not just as black people, but as people of color, for those who are minorities who are watching this video right now, you know, we have to understand that we don't have to sell ourselves short. As I said in my Failure is Not an Option 3-part video, I said that I'm going to be dressing differently. And, you know, I said because of Obama's election, but it wasn't because of Obama's election. It was because I feel like for years I have been selling myself short. No, I wasn't the type to wear my pants half off my ass, but I was the type to conform to a lot of things that I saw around me. I was the type, you know, for a lot of years, up until like the last 4 years of my life, I was the type to try to fit in by any means necessary, you know, and come out of myself and come out of my character in order to be liked by my peers. But when I realized that I could be educated and look educated and show off who I am, my personality, my character, through the way I dress, through the way I talk, through the way I carry myself when I leave my home, and still be respected and liked for it. I realized that, and he helped me to realize that. He inspired me to want to be great and be smarter, be better. You know, it last night really touched me. It was an amazing inauguration. I congratulate you, President Obama. You know, I love you, President Obama. I I pray for your safety, the safety of your wife, your children, your family. I pray that you do great things, and I pray that God blesses you. I pray that God leads you in a way to where you would make decisions that are right, the right decisions, even if they may not be the most popular decisions. I pray that He leads you toward making the right decision that would benefit this country and make this country great once again. We've already proved that we have potential to be great and to be united. And it's because of you that we're just one step further toward reaching the goal of greatness and reaching the standards that the United States was built upon. And so, with that said, I'm out. Um, I'm not gonna go any further, any deeper into the situation because y'all already know how I feel about Obama. Y'all already know where I stand on his views, and so there's really nothing else left to say. But I love y'all. I will be back in a moment with another random blog about whatever. And so, with that said, I'm out. Peace and blessings.